My name is Lauren Wade, and I will be doing my summer 2016 semester project on the earthquake and tsunami that occurred on March 11, 2011 on the North Pacific coast of Japan. I will begin by giving you background information on the devastating event. Japan is located in the Ring of Fire, an arc that stretches along the basin of the Pacific Ocean. 90% of the world's earthquakes and volcanoes occur here. Japan sits on, or close to, 4 tectonic plates: the Pacific, North American, Eurasian, and Filipino plate. These slabs of Earth's crust are constantly in motion. According to John Bellini, a U.S. Geological Survey geophysicist, the Pacific plate has been inching underneath the North American plate about 80 to 100 millimeters a year. As these plates move into each other, pressure builds and builds. Eventually, and unpredictably, the pressure releases through an earthquake, and the rising seabed causes a tsunami. This earthquake was the 4th largest in history, as the depths reached 15.2 miles. The tsunami was the 2nd worst in world history. That is crazy. The waves of the tsunami moved about 800 kilometers, or about 497 miles an hour, and were up to 33 feet high. The earthquake reached a 9.0 magnitude. Originally, it was said to have been 8.9, but they found more accurate information. Because the Richter scale is based on a logarithmic scale, 9.0 ends up being much bigger than 8.9. The difference in energy released is huge. For example, a 1.0 magnitude earthquake produces 32 times the energy change, while a 4.0 magnitude earthquake produces 1 million times the energy change. That difference alone is crazy. Now that you know the background of this natural disaster, let's talk about the effects. Before I focus on how it affected Japan, I'm going to talk about how it affected areas that are far away. The earthquake itself was felt all the way in Tokyo, even though the epicenter of it occurred about 231 miles from there. The tsunami reached as far as the Hawaiian Islands, California, Oregon, and Chile. Small amounts of damage were done in these areas, but in Oregon, waves reached up to 3 to 4 feet every 10 to 15 minutes. For being thousands of miles away, that's crazy. Now that you understand how far the tsunami reached, imagine how devastating it was on the coast of Japan. More than 20 countries and Pacific Islands were issued tsunami warnings on March 11th, but there was no real preparation for what was to come. Like I said before, the waves on the coast of Japan reached up to 33 feet. Almost instantly, it took structures, cars, and people with it. It severely damaged roads and railways and caused dams to collapse and fires to start. 1.4 million homes were left without water, and 4.4 million homes were left without electricity. The tsunami did about $235 billion in damages. The worst of all, as of February 13, 2013, more than 15,000 people were killed. 2,694 people still remained missing, and 136,481 people were displaced. One of the longer-lasting devastations of the earthquake and tsunami is the radioactive steam leak from the Fukushima nuclear plant. The wall protecting the plant was about half the size of the waves coming towards it. The waves caused all power to go down, which in turn caused the cooling systems to fail. Because of this, the uranium core started to overheat and melt through the steel containers. Hydrogen explosions caused damage to the reactors and sent radioactive materials into the air. More than 160,000 people had to evacuate their homes. Let's talk about Fukushima today, 5 years later. Residents still cannot return to Fukushima due to high radiation levels. TEPCO, Tokyo Electric Power Company, is still circulating water through the melted units to keep them cool, causing a never-ending supply of radioactive water. Also, radioactive materials are in the groundwater that flows from a hill behind the nuclear plant right into the ocean. There's been an increase in thyroid cancer among children who lived in Fukushima. And despite this huge nuclear meltdown, Japan still continues to choose nuclear as their power. So what are the lasting effects of the earthquake and tsunami altogether? In a study done by Kukuhara and many others, they found that out of 53.5% of people who had symptoms of PTSD, 33.2% had clinical PTSD symptoms, and also that 66.8% of survivors had depression, understandably. The rebuilding of the economy, structures, and the well-being of the people are among a few of the long-term issues that Japan still faces. What to do in the future? I believe, for one, nuclear plants need a better plan. They need a plan for future tsunamis and have walls that can protect the plant from 30 to 40-foot waves. People also need to be more educated on what to do in case of a tsunami, what the warning signs are, and what precautions to take, especially if you live near a nuclear plant. I hope this video was informative on how devastating the tsunami really was to Japan. I certainly learned a lot. Thank you.